Hello and welcome to Rally FC. That's right, Rally FC, the Ghostwriter podcast. I am your host, Clay Johnson, but I am not doing this alone. Much like Ghostwriter, I have friends. So here with me today is a friend of mine. She is an actress, an aspiring writer, and really just trying to get by in 2020. Everybody welcome Hannah Hyde.
Hello! Happy to be here.
How we doing today, Hannah?
Doing great.
Good.
Great. Living my best 2020 life.
All right. Well, I have a very important question to ask you, something I ask all of my guests. Hannah, how much do you hate me for asking you to watch this show?
Not that much, actually.
Really?
At first, I was like, where are we going with this? What are we doing? What have I signed up for? But actually, I got pretty into it. So, thank you. I have never heard of Ghostwriter, so...
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not every day you have somebody randomly ask you to watch a PBS show from the 90s, so...
Yeah, and I don't know how I missed it. Like, the 90s were my jam, and somehow Ghostwriter slid right by me.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it definitely hit me in the right spot. And I think it was one of those things I was trying to remember the other day how I got into it. I think my mother told me about it. And that's when I started. But I, picked it up, like in the middle of the run. But yeah, I mean, this caught me when I was 10, 12, around there. So, and that was in the original run. So, yeah, honestly... most of my guests have never heard of this show, so you're not alone.
Well, good. Yeah, I think 1995, I was more of a Barney girl.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely more for, those upwards of 10 to 12, preteen kind of age, kind of thing. So yeah, if you were into Barney, I think it would have been just a little bit past your attention zone. All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's just jump right into this episode. So we are talking today about story arc number 12, Lost in Brooklyn. And this story sees us. Tina has just joined middle school, and she befriends an exchange student, Safira Simongo, who is in town because her father is an ambassador, and she's apparently just going to be at the school for a few weeks while things are done at the UN. But what we learn about her later is that she is actually looking for her estranged brother, who is estranged from her family, not from her. And her and Tina try to find her brother along with the team. And eventually, Safira gets into a fight with her family and gets, quote, lost in Brooklyn. So, yes, that is really kind of the main thrust of this episode is really the relationship between Tina and Safira. So did you have any thoughts when this episode first started out, Hannah?
I had many thoughts.
Many thoughts. All right, walk us through some of these.
Yeah, so my first thought, before Safira arrives on the scene, which is pretty quickly, I was like, wow, there's this group of kids. This is kind of hokey, but I'm betting this is for PBS, so
Yes.
This makes sense. And middle school, it's so awkward. And then she rolls up in that very nice car, circa 1990, whatever. And I was like, this is about to get interesting.
And it does.
It did.
Yeah, that scene when they introduce Safira, like I said, the scene before that is really just, Tina's in middle school. Isn't this cool? But then Alex runs into the scene and relates that something amazing is happening on the steps, so they have to go watch. And so they all go out there. So it is... At this point, it is Alex, Jamal, and Tina. And I love that they all three have completely different reactions to Safira coming on the scene, because Jamal is like checking her out. He's like, she's cute. And I'm just like, oh, I guess Jasmine's not in the picture anymore. Good to know. And Alex is like, yeah, her car's cool. I'm like, that's great reaction, Alex.
That's not good enough, Alex.
But Tina immediately just wants to be Saphira's friend. And it really kind of starts this, I don't know, like the first little bit of like Tina trying to build this friendship with Saphira, like it almost like the kind of study and everything that she goes into. Like I was like, does Tina have a little crush on this girl? What's going on here?
This is when I was like, okay, this is very much PBS. Yeah. They're going into a side plot all about Mozambique.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
I thought a similar thing. I was like, she is trying real hard. She seems like she has friends, but I get it. Middle school's not easy.
Yeah, and, you know, she makes the point that, you know, Saphira is different. Saphira, you know, represents a culture and a heritage that she doesn't know, but it's really cool and interesting, and she'd like to get to know it. I gotta say, though, when Saphira and Tina do eventually, like, become friends, and, you know, Tina writes her a letter, and their interaction is so cute, but I'm just sitting here and I'm going, I wouldn't be at all surprised if come to find out Tina experiments in college just a little bit, you know, because
well, maybe.
Yeah, it's really funny because this show, it's about 12, 13-year-olds, but they've dabbled here and there with, you know, relationships and stuff like that. In fact, Alex and Tina are supposed to be in a relationship, though. Did you get any whiff of that?
What?
Yes,
no.
Exactly.
They spend most of the episode in completely separate buildings.
Completely separated. They never talk about it at all. In fact, it's been at least 2 storylines since they have mentioned anything about it.
Yep, that sounds like middle school. You're hot and then you're not.
Yeah. But yeah, so, you know, we're introduced to the fact that Saphira, like I said, or actually Hannah mentioned, she is from Mozambique. She's only in town for a little while. And we're introduced to her parents. Her father seems extremely strict. He's really doesn't want Saphira doing any extracurriculars unless it's educational. And her mother is a little bit more understanding, but at the same time, you know, she's going to lay down the law. And there is a point at which, when we are first meeting them, that the name of Malenga is brought up. And Saphira's dad reacts huge to that, basically saying, I told you to never bring up his name. We find out later that is Saphira's brother, who is an artist, had a fight with her father and basically got kicked out of the family and is now living in New York. Which, let
me tell you, at that point I was like, all right, now I'm invested. PBS do a soap opera. I need to know what happens next.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they're introducing new characters. Somebody's been kicked out of the family. It's like, ooh, tension. It's crazy. So Saphira very badly wants to reconnect with her brother. Not only does she miss him, but she also has a carving that was basically handed down to her from her grandfather, who had recently died. But the carving is supposed to go to the oldest grandchild, which is, of course, her older brother. So, you know, Tina volunteers to help Saphira find Malenga in order to make this work. And so one of the things, because this is, like I said, this is a PBS school, it's educational, they use the letters that Malenga has been writing to Saphira. And I love it because, like, the first ones that they use, it's like, I live in, I live in Flatbush and live above a bookstore and all this kind of stuff. So they call all these bookstores only to find out that he moved out. And I love that they look back at the letters and they're like, oh, that was just an old letter. He's talked about where he moved to in newer letters. I'm like, why don't you just start from the newest letters and work back, guys?
Yeah. Yeah, that's so funny. I didn't even think about that because at this point I was so invested. I was like, intrigue, like mystery, strict father.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you're right. You should call the bookstores. And then I read the next letter and I'm like, oh my god, another clue.
Yeah, you're just wrapped up in the peaks and valleys that they're taking you through, not even questioning it.
That is very funny. Yeah, I can't believe that came across my mind. There were a lot of other things where I'm like, you kids are not the most hotshot of hotshot detectives.
No,
but.
Yeah, we've talked about several times the fact that, sometimes they make the children look like idiots in order to make their educational point. I will say, though, there are a couple of times in this story where I was shocked because most of the time, if they're like writing someone a letter or they're like writing a message to Ghostwriter asking him to do something, we will see them write almost every single letter of that message. And there were a couple of times that like Tina just said what she was going to write, but we didn't watch it. And I was like, whoa, groundbreaking.
With their perfect penmanship, by the way.
Yes. And we talked about the fact that they've got to have like a stunt writer or something on this show because most of the kids' handwriting all looks the same. But I noticed at least Saphira had very specific handwriting, and I was like, I wonder if they brought in somebody new or if their hand double just got fancy. But yeah, so they find a newer letter, and basically Malenga talks about how he has made friends at a market nearby in Fort Greene, which is the neighborhood in Brooklyn that they all live. But he's made friends with a talkative Asian man with an eye patch and a beautiful smile.
What a description.
Yes. Yeah, I'm just like, okay, first off, that's like you said, quite a description, but also there is a scene later on where they do a montage looking for this person, and it's just music, and the girls are muted, but they are having text, and it's like they're literally going around just saying, "Do you know a talkative Asian man with an eye patch and a beautiful smile?" And I'm just like, I know exactly what happened here. They filmed those scenes, and they realized this is ridiculous. We can't have these girls because it's even more ridiculous than anything we usually do on this show. So instead, they just put music over it, and they were like, it's not nearly as ridiculous this way.
Yeah, I did notice that, and I was like, no, this is not how you spy. You don't go up to Asian men and say, are you an Asian man? Where's your eye patch? Do you have a beautiful smile? Let me see.
Oh, yeah, because there is that one shot. They finally find an Asian man, and they're like, it must be him! And they're like, do you have an eye patch and a beautiful smile? And he does that shot. It's so 80s and early 90s where he just flips down his sunglasses, and you can see he's got like both eyes uncovered, and I'm just like, number one, super 80s shot, but it's like, it's not him. Who would have thought we would have met another Asian man in Brooklyn working at a grocery store? But yes, they do eventually get the rest of the team working on this, and I will say, through all of this, like I said, Tina and Saphira have to kind of work around Saphira's rules. There's actually a point at which Tina advises Saphira to lie to her parents and tell them that she's just studying at Tina's house. And I'm just like, whoa, Tina, that's really risky for PBS.
Yeah, I don't know. Like they were trying to make it like very realistic and relevant to all the kids who are also like, "Oh, right, I can lie. I can say I'm at so and so's house." Yeah,
of course, then
we're gonna go do this completely other innocent thing.
Oh yeah, but then as PBS will do when Saphira goes missing because she eventually lies to her own mother, and we see that as well. But then when Saphira goes missing, she comes clean and all. It's like, okay, yeah, these are good PBS kids. But, they have to ditch Saphira's bodyguard, Oko, who is basically, serves as her shadow throughout all of this. Especially once, when they do the bit where they go looking for the market, Tina and Saphira basically lose track of time because they just get kind of lost in their independence. Just really feeling themselves, and they basically end up making plans for the future. And this is ridiculous. So I have to play this.
We had a place like that, just the two of us.
Yeah, near the ocean somewhere.
No, the country. I love trees and stuff.
How about the tropical rainforest?
A tropical rainforest near the ocean.
With everything we want right nearby.
Hot dogs, ice cream,
coconuts, cashews,
everything!
Okay, I love how ridiculous their plans are.
Oh my god.
We're gonna live in a rainforest by the ocean. Yeah.
Well, I was like, hold on. You guys were sitting in a concrete playground eating a hot dog, and now all of a sudden we're frolicking through some trees, and you're just like weirdly crisscrossing each other behind the same two trees. Grand ideas. And I'm just like, and then all of a sudden they're back with their hot dogs again, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. I mean, like, I think that they're in the Fort Greene Park.
Right.
So, I get, but yeah, it's just like.
You can't talk about your dreams.
Yeah.
Concrete. Or with hot dogs. You must talk about them while in motion behind
while
trees.
Running. Well, they're talking about trees. May as well run through trees. Because Tina loves trees and stuff. So, like I said, because of that, they lose track of time. And Tina, like I said, is able to lie to her mother and say that she was, studying at Saphira's, but Saphira's parents won't even give her the opportunity to lie. So she is in trouble basically just because they were late. So at this point, they're a little bit handicapped. So Tina brings in the rest of the team. The rest of the team basically at this point then takes up the charge to look for some of the other clues in the letter, as well as the talkative Asian man with the beautiful smile. And in fact, they finally find him, and when they do, basically they just tell him that Saphira is looking for Malanga, and he's like, yeah, they have Tina's number, and he's like, yeah, I'll just let you know, or I'll have him call. But they decide, they're like, Saphira starts freaking out, and she's like, what if he comes by when he's not there? So they decide to make a sign telling Malanga to call. I will say one of the things that stuck me the most in this is when they're making this poster, they're like, well, we need to put contact information on it. And Tina's like, well, you can just put my number on it. I was like, you might want to talk to your parents before you post your number in a public place.
This is how you know it's PBS, right?
Yes.
Because nothing bad would ever happen on PBS. But in my brain, I was like, honey child, do you know how many calls from randos you are going to get putting that in a bodega in Brooklyn?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, hi, I'm Malanga. I want to know why the sun and moon are in the sky. It's like, oh, God. Oh, but yeah, they make this sign. And I will say, they make this poster really cool looking. They actually, Jamal's in the past has done a little bit of artwork on the show. I am curious if this was actually something that the actor Sheldon Turnipseed did, because it was kind of something that they brought up in episodes specifically about art. And we do, there's always camera magic, and it's not necessarily him working on it, but it just kind of made me wonder. I'm like, I wonder if he was doing some of that. But
I was just going to say, they should do a Where Are They Now series.
They've done some of those, but honestly, most of this cast is not acting or anything anymore. And so it was like, she went to school and had a family And, you know, I think like Blaise Burdal, who plays Lenny, is one of the few who's still like acting regularly. You know, some of them went into music. Some of them just, you know, I think the kid that plays Jamal, Sheldon Turnipseed, this was his last acting credit. Like he just stopped.
Oh, wow.
Like,
but he has such a great name.
Yeah, I know. It's like who wouldn't want to be known as Sheldon Turnipseed? I mean, nobody else is going to have that name, that's for sure.
Right. That's not what makes you a quality actor, but it definitely helps.
It can't hurt. But yeah, so, you know, like I said, you know, they're trying to make the poster creative looking, and Lenny just kind of tries to throw Jamal into this, and he fights a little bit, but he's quickly overcome.
Jamal can draw the pictures for you, and you can write the message.
Wait a minute. I'm not an artist like Malenga.
No, you're an artist like yourself.
I'd love for you to draw for me.
Well, okay.
She just says, I'd love for you to draw for me. And he's like, okay, yeah, do it. Anything you want. Yeah. He doesn't fight very hard after Saphira specifically asks him to. But yeah, so they get this poster, they put it up, and, you know, at this point, they're, you know, the idea is that they're just going to be playing the waiting game. Unfortunately, around this time, Saphira goes home and has a fight with her father, big blow up, and she runs out, and she runs away. And at no point after she runs away does she ever call Tina, go to Tina's, anything. And I don't know about you, but it's like, okay, you think maybe she's thinking, you know, that her parents know she's gonna go there, but at no point she even contacts Tina. Like, that really surprised me. What about you?
You know, it didn't surprise me because
No.
I have been a middle school girl at some point in the past, and and you know, I will say sometimes when you just get really, really, really upset,
Right.
especially because she's known Tina for like what at this point, a few days.
Sure.
And meanwhile, she's just had the biggest fight of her life with
Right.
someone she's known and loved her entire life, someone she has respected and been intimidated by, and she's done a very big thing. I think it made sense to me that at that point, the person she wanted to go to was someone else that she had a long-standing relationship with, which was her brother.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
Like,
I mean,
it's nice to be mad, and now I'm not mad anymore. And I want my brother because he would get it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, okay. I totally get that the first person she seeks out is Malenga, but at this point, she doesn't know where Malenga is. She doesn't really have, and Tina is really the only other connection she has in the city. Right. So
right. It was a little weird that once it got dark, she was like, I guess I'll just hang out by the subway. I don't know what else to do. I was like, at this point, honey, find a payphone.
Yeah.
Find something.
Yeah.
And when she recognized, like, oh, we're at the playground. I know where we are.
Right.
Like, cool, go to Tina's.
Right. I mean, yeah, at that point, you know, she's, you know, thinking about making up with her parents. But, yeah, you know, I think I was just, like, I wasn't surprised at the first place, like I said, that she went was, you know, to Mr. Tang's to see if maybe Malenga was there. But after that, I would have thought, go at least call Tina or go there or something like that, because she is your only other connection in the city. But that's not what she does. So she, like I said, she does first go to Mr. Tang's, and it's crazy because the moment she leaves, her brother shows up.
Isn't that how it always happens?
Of course. But during all this, there are other things happening within the team. Number one, I think we mentioned on the last episode that Rob was in Australia. Well, in the a little bit into the third episode, he comes in, and I love, okay, I'm going to play this clip. It's super short, but Tina, of course, at this point, we know that Saphira has gone missing and she is freaked out and, she's really worried about her friend. And she hears a knock on the door and she just assumes that it must be Saphira. But it's not. It's Jamal. And I love that Jamal gets greeted with this.
Oh, hi, Jamal.
I'm just like, whoa. Like, way to bring Jamal's self-esteem way down. Hi, Jamal. Yeah, nice to see you too, Tina. Jeez. It's like, man, it's the way all girls talk to me. Hi, Jamal. But yeah, so at that point, Jamal has run into Rob, who has just come back from Australia. And at first, it seems like everything's cool, except he's dropping a lot of heavy hints, but not saying what he's upset about. And everybody's just like, that's Rob, whatever. And all of a sudden, he drops the fact that he is moving to Australia. His mom got a job there, and they're just in town for the next couple of days, and then he will be gone. And it is like a bomb went off because, like, in the next scene, they're all just sitting there, like, super quiet. Nobody's talking, and it's real awkward.
I know, and I have to tell you, like, so I went into this show blind.
Right, I was about to say, you had no idea who Rob was.
I didn't, and I have to tell you, I was pissed because I was like, who is this dude who just shows up during a pivotal moment with his weird little subplot crisis? Like, I don't have time to be, like, sad for you and you're moving. I just met you. Meanwhile, this girl is missing. Are we going her or not?
Yeah, Hannah doesn't care if you're moving, Rob. You came in the middle of a crisis, and you're messing it all up.
I was like, I thought, and sorry if I'm spoiling anything here, I thought Hector was the big subplot, and his, like, Boys and Girls Club writing scares me.
Right.
Now it's this guy. I'm like, I don't even know who you are. And I'm supposed to be upset.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing to come in on, because I mean, like, the rest of the episode is fine, but yeah, you have no connection to Rob.
It never gets addressed again. He's just like, I'm moving to Australia, and they're like, well, that really stinks. And then we get back into the meat of the story, and then at the end, it's just like a brief little blip, and then we're just like, I guess we never see Rob again. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I will say he doesn't appear again. I think they mentioned him a couple of times, but not much.
What a way to go.
Yeah.
If I was Rob, I would be mad. My big goodbye party was spoiled by some girl going missing.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure she scheduled running away just to mess everything up for you, Rob. But yeah, so like I said, it drops a big bomb in the middle of the team, and it's one of those things where, like, everybody is quiet, nobody's saying anything, and then Rob and Gabby, like, try to get the discourse going again. So I've got this clip, but I couldn't get it clean because Lenny was not having their attempts to move forward.
I wish you didn't have to move.
Me too.
Me 3. Me 4.
Me 5.
Yeah, so that number one, I've never heard the Me Too thing go all the way up to 5. I was like, are we gonna keep this bit going? Really? Okay, all right. But yeah, like Lenny gives zero fucks about them trying to move on. It's like, oh, she didn't have to move. God. And, they acknowledge the fact that it sucks and everything, but I'm like, guys, you have Ghostwriter. You have proto-texting. Like, seriously. Like, you don't even have to worry about the mail service at this point. You already have email before most other people in the world. You're fine.
Right, exactly. Meanwhile, a girl is still missing.
Right. But to talk about the other subplot that you mentioned. We are introduced to the fact in the first story in the first episode of this story that Alex is doing a one-on-one program, basically, taking a younger kid, under his wing and just kind of helping him out. And he is a boy named Hector, who is also Latinx, and he just moved from Puerto Rico, I believe, but he was born there. And basically, the interactions are Hector hates basketball, he loves handball, and he hates to write, but Alex helps him to love it. That's really the storyline with Hector up to a certain point. And this is really where we're getting most of the educational bits, because Alex is teaching him how to write, and he's teaching him, he's like, oh, but I hate writing. He's like, well, tell me a story. And he tells a fun little story, and he's like, all right, well, write that. And he's like, I don't know how. He's like, just write down what you just said to me. He's like, oh, is that what writing is? Yes, that's what writing is. The thing with Hector, and I've watched this show through a couple of times. The thing with Hector is, number one, the actor who plays him, William Hernandez. What's weird, Hector is supposed to be, I believe he's supposed to be younger than Gabby, so I think he's around 10 or 11. But he keeps saying things like, I like trucks, and ew, girls are gross. And I'm like, okay, is Hector 10 or is he 5? Because I'm not really sure where you're trying to pitch him. And then I looked him up and I realized he's actually the same age as the older kids in the series. So we've got a 15-year-old who they have cast as now the youngest kid on the show.
Wait. That actor was 15?
He was born in 79. This was 93, so not quite 15. But he's one of the older kids in the cast. He's about 14.
Wow. Okay, he plays young.
Yeah.
I thought he was 9.
Yeah. I mean, number one, he's shorter. So, he looks a little younger. And then, like I said, they have him saying things like, I like trucks. And I was just like, I'm like, okay, maybe they're just trying to pitch him lower because he is so much older than the character that he's playing. But it just, at times he comes off as annoying to me, But apparently they like him because he ends up joining the team, which is real weird. Okay, if I showed you two characters that we're going to introduce in this show, and I show you Hector and Saphira, which one would you choose to join and be regular?
Saphira all the way.
Yeah, all day, every day, right? It's like, okay, I understand that she lives in Mozambique and she's only here for a few days while her father works in the UN, but it's like, have her, stay with her brother for the weekend or something. It's like, she's the better option out of these two at this point. But yeah, I was just like, obviously, I think they just really wanted to add a younger component to the show, even though, like I said, the actor is one of the oldest actors now on the show, but his character is the youngest character. And now that the kids have started getting older, I think they just wanted to add a bit more youth there. I was just like, I don't think you needed it, but okay. Because that actor actually auditioned with the original cast to be part of the original cast of the show. Yeah, so, they went back to him, saying, hey, you want to play 5 years younger than you are? Cool.
See, I kind of thought, again, because I came to this story arc with no prior, history with this show.
Right.
I assumed that this ghostwriter being just cherry picks students who maybe need a little bit of help.
Sure.
Or have potential but are a little lost because Hector's like, no, I don't like to write. It's bad, and how dare you laugh at my spelling. And in my brain, I was like, okay, well, this makes sense that this like ghostly being that loves wordplay is, gonna say, no, it's awesome. Come into the fold. And it had me wondering, like, where did all these kids meet? How did they form a team? How did they all know the other person could see this amazing secret thing? Do they have their own clubhouse? Like, where is this place that they're gathering? I had so many questions.
Sure. I mean, I will say, like, Hector is the only character that they've introduced to become a regular that does, like, struggle with writing and all this kind of stuff. Of course, I think a lot of that is specific to the character because of, like, the language barrier, and, he is a native at least the character. I don't know about the actor. The character is a native Spanish speaker. And so, I think that has something to do with it. They've dealt with that kind of thing before. But yeah, it's just, something else that I thought was interesting is that Ghostwriter actually, like, put up words where in Hector's vision before Hector could actually see them. And I was like, that's interesting. They've never done that before. Usually the first time Ghostwriter is in front of a character that he's going to befriend, they see him right away. So Ghostwriter has mentioned in the past that, like, basically he picked the team because, like, he could feel their hearts kind of thing. Like, he knew that they were the type of person that he needed, or, that they could help each other kind of thing. So apparently he had to warm up to Hector. It wasn't just a automatic, we're good. I'm just like, you didn't spend enough time with Saphira, Ghostwriter. You need to spend more time with her.
Well, and he was so concerned. He was like, I'll go look for her.
Yeah.
I'll stop till I find her.
Yeah.
Meanwhile.
Yeah.
Come on, kid.
Yeah, instead we get, ew, girls are gross. Oh, you're 11? All right, sure. But getting back to the search for Saphira, Malenga at this point has joined the pursuit. They've gotten different hints from Ghostwriter, and combined with the letters that Malenga has written, they figure out that Saphira is now in Brooklyn Heights, looking at the sunset. They go to the pier where she is, and apparently, like, she was there, and then as she started to leave, just started, like, writing very large notes and just leaving them behind her. And I'm like, okay.
In a very, like, scattered, I was a little concerned. I was like, somebody gave you something on this promenade. Because it's like, oh, Malenga, on, like, a giant note over here, and then, like, stagger, and on benches, like, completely across the way. It's like, where are you? stagger. And it's like, is she okay?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, if you don't think of it in real life circumstances, it's kind of like a cool, like almost like a scavenger hunt when they get there. It's like, oh, here's a letter. Oh, there's another one. It's like, thematically, it's kind of fun, but if you think for just a second about the real world consequences of that, I'm like, yeah, okay, she's just leaving litter all over the place for people to have to, like, come and pick up afterwards. And I'm just like, that's just real weird.
Someone's gonna see that "Where are you" message and think it's really profound, like, artwork.
Yes.
Existential crisis.
Where am I? I don't know.
But in PBS land, watching that as a kid, I probably would have been like, there's another one! Go get it!
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I skipped it, but I gotta go back. So there is a scene. We've talked about the fact that Malenga's an artist, and I believe, he works, painting, drawing, things like that. But he also is kind of poetic with his letters. Well, there is a scene, when they're still looking for Malenga, when they bring out one of these letters and Alex just starts reading it. And it's fine, it's like there's nothing wrong with Alex's read. But all of a sudden, in the middle of him speaking, Gabby just walks up and takes the letter from him and continues the reading, as if to say,
That's not good enough, Alex.
it's like, I didn't like the emphasis you put on this letter. Let me try. I was just like, wow, Gabby. Oh. Sorry, that just made me laugh. So, at the end of this story, the last note that Saphira left is that she was going back to the Steadmore. So, Malenga decides, I'm going to put aside, the beef that my dad and I have. I'm going to go make sure Saphira's okay. And Tina goes with him. Well, the moment that Saphira walks up to the hotel room, she hears her father yelling and basically saying, if I ever find that girl again, she's never going to have, any freedom and, just bluster. I wouldn't want to walk in that room either. So she then, goes. This is another point at which I'm like, why didn't you go to Tina's? But instead, she goes down into the basement of the Steadmore, just starts wandering around, opening doors, looking in stuff, and finds herself locked in a closet, which is where she ends up having to spend the night because...
Yeah, this was another point of contention for me.
Okay.
Of where I was like, we're toying with PBS masterpiece here as far as level of drama. Because she's missing, and her friends get so close to figuring it out. They have these clues that it's like, you can tell, like, maybe this word is hotel, and
right.
Oh, but we don't know. And they're like, well, it's late, let's go to bed. And I'm like, hello, where's that girl gonna sleep? Yeah. She's gonna be stuck in this room. You guys are all cozy in your pajamas. Like,
I mean, I will say that, number one, some of their parents are specifically like, you have to come home now. But,
true. Yeah.
I mean, I would have at least, number one, they could have told their parents, hey, this girl is missing. Can you come help us find this girl? Or, at least one of them stay on the case. But yeah, no, you're right. They're all just like, yeah, it's late. And Tina's the only one that's like, yeah, it's late. Saphira's still out there. And they're like, she'll be there in the morning. It's fine.
Right, which is like, I understand you are, a child who's not even gone through puberty yet. And of course your parents are going to be concerned, not even knowing that your friend of yours is missing.
Right.
But just how casually they're like, all right, well, whatever, see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, I'm like, why? That's kind of harsh.
Yeah.
You can still be concerned just because it's nighttime. I mean, go home, but, be a little more worried.
Yeah. Which honestly does make me wonder, how much do these kids' parents know of what they're doing at any point in any of these stories?
So little. If I know anything about, stories where children are protagonists, it's that the parents are either idiots,
oblivious,
they're dead, or they're just authoritarian figures there as an obstacle for the protagonist to overcome.
Yeah. Or in the case of Lenny, she's an emancipated minor who basically lives a bohemian lifestyle in a New York City apartment all on her own.
Is that why she has this fabulous outfit at the end? I was just floored. She came out with like this little pillbox hat and her bloomers.
We're going to talk about Lenny's outfits, definitely. But yeah, they are always in her apartment. And she mentions her dad occasionally, but they're always there, and we never see Dad. I'm like, Dad doesn't exist.
What court let her be an emancipated minor at 11?
But, yeah, so, it doesn't take them long the next morning to put the clues that Ghostwriter got them together and realize that she is in the Steadmore. And
which, again, like 10 more minutes of work, kids, and you could have gotten there the night before.
Yeah, it like I said, yeah, it really didn't take them long. But you know, instead, Saphira got to spend the night in a apparently an ill-kept maintenance closet, because all of the stuff that Ghostwriter finds is like expired cleaning materials and stuff like that, and I'm just like, I don't know that sounds like a safe place for her to be at any point, much less spending the night. But she does get rescued by, you know, the team and her brother and her father. I will say, though, the scene where Malenga comes into the closet, like, she hears basically people telling her to step back. And then we hear somebody, like, breaking something to get the door open. But then Malenga just kind of, like, pops it open and is like, hi. He steps through and they talk, and then the very next scene is somebody breaking down the door to let. I'm like, okay, did Malenga go in there and then it got locked again? Is that what just happened?
Well, and then there was the brief little like blip of there was a maintenance worker there with keys. And, you know, I know the doorknob had fallen off or whatever, but there he is, like, locking it back up at the end. I was just what's happening with this door?
This dangerous place that you have in your hotel.
Yeah. But I would have loved to have seen the scene, like, right before that, when this group of ragtag kids comes to this very nice hotel to essentially a UN ambassador.
Yeah.
And is like, P.S. Your daughter's been in the storeroom this whole time. No context as to how they know that.
Nope.
And they all are just like, let's troop down there together and find out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Malenga, who's been with these kids and has, you know, seen them come up with answers out of nowhere, he's just like, just go with them. Just, they know what they're talking about. I don't know how, but they do. But yeah, so that gets resolved. There's actually a pretty good scene between Saphira and Malenga where they both kind of, you know, are very honest with each other. Malenga bursts Saphira's bubble because she's like, it would just be perfect if I got to live here with you. And he's like, Saphira, I'm 21 years old. I'm single. I basically don't have a job, and I live in New York City. It would not be perfect. And she reminds him that, you know, because, you know, they talk about, you know, maybe you can make up with father. And he's like, well, that depends on him. She's like, yeah, depends on you too. It's like, you know, I love you and everything, but you're not perfect. But yeah, and then we get basically the last scene, which is the team kind of inducting Hector into the group. And this scene was so, because we've seen scenes where they add a member to the group. They did it with Rob before, but I don't know, the way this was set up, like, it was in Lenny's apartment, but for some reason the lights are all out, but there is a light directly over the table coming from what light source we do not know. And I was just like looking at this and I was like, okay, is this a seance or a black box theater production? I'm not really sure which.
It was very strange, and it was a little like, I thought he was about to get hazed, but then it was this very sweet, tender, like, here's your pen.
Yeah.
And then like, cool, you're in. Move on. And suddenly it becomes another, like, tender, heartfelt, like, oh, Rob, you're leaving.
Yeah.
Here's all this stuff. And then, yeah, and you're right, the lighting was very odd, and then suddenly it was just like a back to a normal room, and we're like, okay, guess we're done.
Yeah. Well, I'm just like, okay, like, at the end of that scene, Lenny goes and turns on the lights, and I'm like, okay, why did the lights need to be off for that? I'm not really, I mean, I'm sure that it was like a production thing, because I think the last time that they did it with Rob, like, they did all of, like, the floating letters and everything, and I think they were like, you know what? If the lights were off and this was in a dark room, it would look really cool with those floating letters. It's like, yeah, let's do that. That's the only thing I can think of for why they decided to do that.
Well, it probably is a little seance-y to an extent. I feel like PBS was maybe, like not going to go full-on Wiccan with it, but...
Sure. I mean, they are communicating with a ghost.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then, like you mentioned, it then turns into a goodbye party, a dance party for Rob. And Rob's got...
Oh my god. I laughed so hard at that because they're having this sweet, endearing moment, of kids being kids, like, we're going to be friends forever.
Right.
And then out of nowhere, someone just shouts, music! And then it's like the most awkward dance party of, like, just children flinging their bodies all over the place and music out of nowhere. And, very funny.
Oh, yeah.
I laughed.
I will say I enjoyed this party music way better than the last time they had a dance party. They were dancing, and for some reason, the song that they decided to get was, not something from their... We haven't really mentioned the music on this show, but the background music on this show is almost its own character. Like, the way that it really, like, sometimes is too much for a scene, but it really, like,
it's very present.
Yes, it's like, this is what you're supposed to be feeling right now. And I was just like, which honestly, I'm pretty sure that's what they did for this party music, was they just had, their background people whip something up. But the last time they start playing Hang On Sloopy, and I'm like, what? Okay, first of all, Lenny's a musician, her dad is a musician. Why are we listening to Hang On Sloopy? Your kid's in the 90s, not the 60s. It's like, get the time period right at least.
Maybe it was something where they were like, yeah, we can get the rights to this for cheap. Why not?
But why? Just make your own. Yeah.
I know.
All right. Well, that really is the episode. Was there anything specific that you wanted to talk about that we didn't touch on?
Specific? Mm-hmm. No, I will say I thought it got way more intense than I thought it would. I mean, granted, it is still a PBS show, so nothing was ever very, like, scary or super direct. But I was like, wow, we are dealing with some very real family issues. We're dealing with some very real danger.
Yeah.
Even the, like, nature of Saphira's dad's work, of, like, he is a United Nations ambassador.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised by just how much depth of story there was past, all right, kids, let's learn about languages, and let's learn about the world, and let's learn about this. And I got a little swept up in it, I will say.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I will say there was one thing that I meant to mention that I completely forgot. First of all, we are introduced to... Tina and Saphira meet in science class. And their science teacher is played by Olympic gymnast Kathy Rigby.
Is that who that is?
Yes.
Okay, I sat there going, this is a very familiar face. Why can't I place this actor? It's because it's not an actor.
Well, actually, she is an actor. She became an actor. In fact, I think she actually played Peter Pan on Broadway eventually.
No way.
But yeah. And okay, there are a couple of things I want to mention about her. First of all, there is a bit where, she introduces Saphira to the class. And in a normal setting, a teacher would just be, okay, go find an open seat and we'll get the class started or something. But she goes, no, Saphira, why don't you go sit in the open seat next to Tina, a person you don't know right now? Go ahead. I'm like, you may as well have just said, so I'm going to have you sit next to one of our leads so that we can continue this story. Okay? All right. It was just so like generated specifically for the plot. But then there was another bit. There was a point at which she caught Tina and Saphira passing notes. And she didn't like get on them or anything. But she is just like, Tina, Saphira, no notes, please. And she says, I didn't bring my piano today.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what that means. And half the kids in the class groaned, and she was like, you were paying attention. I was like, to what? I missed it. Where was the joke? I was like, did they cut out the build up to that? Because I definitely didn't get the punchline.
I didn't either, and I was like, I assume that had something to do with banter that I missed.
Yeah.
Being distracted by the tiny acid trip going on above them of the rainbow.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I went back because I was like, okay, did I miss something? Nothing. I was like, unless it was like in a previous like side thing, I was like, no, I don't think it was there.
They didn't tell her, okay, just improvise a response here, and that's what she came up with.
Oh, see, in my head canon, she had like this whole like lesson plan that she thought was gonna be in the production before that scene, and it all got cut. And she was like, this is gonna be a great scene. No. Nobody got it. All right. Well, then we have a couple of segments that we like to do before we finish out. So the first one that we were gonna do is something I like to call Ghostwriter Fashion, because this show, as we've mentioned several times, takes place in the 90s, and the 90s was an interesting time for fashion. So I mention all the time the reason that we started doing this. By the way, if you're listening and you want to follow along, you can always do so on our Instagram page. It is just the Flying Cow Pod on Instagram, at the Flying Cow Pod. But yeah, so, one of the reasons I started doing this is because of Lenny, and not just her fashion, but specifically her hats. There have been some episodes. There was actually one not too long ago where she didn't wear any hats, and it was crazy. But her fashion in general is always interesting. So I always like to start taking a look at some of her looks. So this first one that we're looking at here, I'll be honest, it really just looks like the costumer was like, this looks good, and this, just wear it all. And just kind of threw a bunch of stuff at her. Because she's wearing like a pink and orange skirt, and then she's got like an orange top over it, and then over that, a brown vest. Like, that vest is bringing down the whole outfit, in my opinion.
Yeah, God, 90s fashion, so bad, so good. Yeah. It's like she was trying to be feminine with the bag and the skirt, and then she discovered her father's menswear.
Yeah.
The shirt and the vest and the watch, and it looks comfortable. I will say, all of their baggy clothes look very comfortable.
Oh yeah, a lot of baggy clothing.
I dig the color blocking. I dig the stripes.
Sure.
I feel like it's about to make a comeback.
Oh, it already has. I work selling t-shirts at events, and I've seen girls who barely need a small, and they're buying extra larges. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's not the bad. I think it really is just, like you said, it's like, some feminine mixed in with masculine, and that's fine. It just wonder sometimes if that reads as a character decision or more like a costume department that doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah. I will admit, because this is one of the first times that we see Lenny, if not the first time, and yeah. I didn't really know who she was, I was like, oh, it's these three dudes chatting about whatever, which is not to say that Lenny cannot be going through an exploratory,
absolutely,
figuring themselves out thing. But yeah, and then later when, she's in her other fabulous outfit, I was like, this is a turn. Lenny's taking a turn.
Yeah. Yeah, I like I said, I don't have any problem if it is, like you said, an exploration of the character. But to me, it more just seems like a costuming department that needs to pick a lane.
Maybe it was a situation of where she was wearing something completely different on top. They broke for lunch. She spilled something on it, and they were like, throw a vest on it.
Yeah. Yeah, because honestly, I think this outfit would actually look really good without that vest.
We'll never know.
Yeah. The world may never know. All right, let's take a look at this next photo. Okay, so this is Lenny in... I don't know a lot about him, but I feel Bruce Springsteen in this outfit. Because it's very... She's basically wearing a bandana on her head and as a vest. And I love that it's blue and red in both places.
It's great. It's very biker chic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I was talking before about the last outfit that they need to pick up. I do not have any problem with Lenny dressing weird. I honestly kind of love the kind of bohemian style that she has. I like this. It's odd.
Well, now with the background of she's an emancipated minor, kind of really living a bohemian life, because this is making a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. And then we've got, Gabby and her lime wear. That entire outfit is all green. Not really a problem with it, just pointing it out.
Yeah, she's coordinated quite a few times in this show. I feel like that's kind of her thing, is being the more responsible of the two siblings. But not really, because she's like just playing around with a bunch of jacks while her brother's actually trying to do something.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. That was something I wrote down. I was like, in the early 90s, were kids still playing jacks? I know I wasn't.
I was.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go then. I was just like, that's so out of left field. That's so weird.
But I only played it at my grandparents' house, which was in the middle of nowhere on a farm. And there was no such thing as internet, and there was barely cable television. So maybe that's a little context there.
Yeah. Okay. So this outfit, the main thing I want to point out is Lenny's hat. Because when I first looked at it, I was like, it just looks like somebody took like one of those Pokeballs and like split it in half and put it on top of her head. Like that's really what that hat looks like to me. It's got like a little brim on it, but I'm just like, fashionable Pokeball. There you go.
I'm digging it. It works.
Oh, yeah. The rest of the outfit, she looks good. It's that hat really draws all of the attention. Okay, so I think
this is the one.
Okay, this one, I don't know if you can see but she just looks like she's wearing sunshine. Just all yellow, but it's like it all works together. And yeah, she's wearing the kufi, which has become her signature hat. And the striped dress with the belt. It all works for me.
I thought we were going to hear at some point that she had just gotten back from her rehearsal of the school production of Hello Dolly or something, because this outfit is so fantabulously wonderful compared to the rest. The rest seem very like casual. Oh, I just threw this on, whatever. Right. This is like a very stylized, sophisticated, and to be honest, probably a little uncomfortable outfit.
Sure.
For a 12-year-old to be wearing. And I was just like, that was all I could look at, honestly, for the last little bit of the show. But yeah, I was staring at her outfit. You're right, because it's just like a little burst of sunshine, stylish sunshine.
Yeah, it is very eye-catching. That is for sure.
And just so different from what else she'd been wearing. I really thought we were going to learn more about why Lenny is wearing this.
See, this is why I was a little disappointed they went away from the hats, because this is a good, odd-looking thing for outfit for her to wear. She's standing out. She's not dressed like everybody else, but also looks good, Yeah,
she looks great.
Okay, so I just had to highlight this because that overall combination that Gabby has on, it's so odd, but I haven't mentioned a whole lot in this episode, but Gabby is my favorite character. She's just usually really quick and snarky and very fun. But she doesn't get a whole lot in this one because it's focused on Tina. But this outfit sums up Gabby for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like her. She seems very New York, honestly.
Yes.
She's very blunt, very let's go.
Yep, that is Gabby. All right. Okay, so I just put together, honestly, this one and the next one is just a combination of Saphira's looks. Honestly, I like the fashion. I like the stuff that they put her in. They put her in a lot of different print stuff, probably thinking, oh, this looks like a girl from Africa would wear this kind of thing. And then this last one, just a real good shot of her. We didn't talk a lot about her, but the actor who played her, Madala Hilaire, I believe she's gone into, more behind the scenes stuff now, but she was actually from Brooklyn. And I was actually with the entire cast playing characters from Mozambique, thought that their accent work was actually pretty decent, especially for a 12-year-old from Brooklyn to, there were some moments here and there where I could hear it drop, but I thought for the most part she did a really good job with the accent.
No, well, I thought her accent was very good. Even if it wasn't what it was supposed to be, the fact that she maintained it, was impressive to me.
Yeah, and I am in no way an expert on African accents, especially one specifically from Mozambique. I have no clue, but for the work that she was doing, what she at least started with, I thought that, she did a good job with what she was given. And honestly, the whole family, the guy who played Malenga, Cade Todd Freeman, who, if you've seen the most recent series of unfortunate events, The Lemony Snicket on Netflix, he played the banker on that.
Oh.
So, yeah. Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, really? And then I looked at him, I was like, yeah, it looks real different. But yeah, I was like, wow, that's good for him. All right, so let's move forward. All right, so I included this picture for a couple of reasons. Number one, Tina putting the case together. She's looking good. She's got her stuff figured out. But it looks like all of the guys in the scene are checking her out.
Oh, well, yeah.
And I'm just like, that's not at all what happened. I just happened to snap this photo and I was like, they're all just kind of like, Jamal and Rob especially. Like, it's just like, whoa, guys, this is your friend. It's like, calm down. Tina's working it. It's all right. Appreciate.
Well, and I just noticed they are all wearing baggy clothing except for Tina, but Hector is just drowning in whatever this outfit is supposed to be. It surpassed oversized.
Yeah.
And all I see is this little head coming out of a giant bumblebee.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's good. All right. Let's take a look at this next one. All right. So, yeah, it's just a shot from their initiation of Hector. And yeah, like I said, seance or black box, pick one. Not sure. It does really have that like black box theater like look to it. But yeah, alrighty. So Hannah, we just have a couple more segments before I'm gonna let you go here. So first of all, who was your top suspect? The character that was either your favorite or you thought did the best job, or whatever criteria you want to use, and it can be anybody, a side character, a lead, or Ghostwriter if you want.
Saphira all the way for me because her performance fantastic.
Yep.
Her story arc, she had development.
Yep.
There was a lot of she was clearly not really the protagonist, but wow, compelling storyline. Lots of self-reflection and realization, and she did a lot more overcoming obstacles, I feel like, than even Tina did.
Yeah.
And I don't know, fashion on point.
Yeah.
Every scene just, I was very intrigued by her character and very impressed with the actress who played her.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of moments in this where I was like, okay, I understand that these are child actors. It's PBS, so sometimes it's just a little over the top anyway, but
Right.
wow, some of this acting is really not great. And she came on and was very earnest and very real with her reactions, not just like, oh my gosh, you don't think it could be this, do you? And and I was just like, yeah, I'm digging this.
Yeah. No, honestly, I'm right there with you. I gave it actually to Tina and Saphira, because I honestly loved the combination of them, and their scenes together were just so sweet. They were just so nice. And also, Tina is one of those characters that she's only ever had, I think this is only the second, focus episode she's gotten where she gets kind of the lead. And, you can definitely tell of the kids, she probably is the least comfortable with the acting, with the job that she's doing. But she does well with what she's given. And I think she did really good in this episode. So yeah, I said Tina and Saphira for me, but I did want to give a shout out to Malenga, because I really liked. I rewatched a couple of things just to freshen myself for today, and yeah, there were a couple of scenes that he did. I was like, he's actually a really good actor. He's one of those that they got, and it's like, man, you are a working actor just trying to get waiting for your shot. And I thought he did a really good job. Let's see. Okay, so now, what is your rewind moment? The moment in the episode that was either your favorite or just made you go, what? What was that?
Basically two separate moments, but kind of put together in one scene. It's the family showdown moments. So when Tina's talking to her mom, it's like, Mom, I have to tell you something. I lied to you. And just like the mom's very calm reaction of, I'm your mother and I love you, so of course I'm going to worry. I'm glad you told me. And then we pivot over to Saphira trying to have a similar conversation with her parents. And the dad is just like, whoa!
Yeah, night and day.
And it's just, that I can watch that back and forth on rewind, because it went from so chill and like, all right, children, let PBS teach you how to have a healthy interaction with adults,
right?
And then we just pivot to, I'm leaving, I can't take this anymore. But for a very legitimate reason of you kicked my brother out of the house because he didn't want to follow what was essentially your dream.
Yeah.
And you've kept me from him for 3 years, which I think is unfair.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whoa, this is very real, very, shit's going down.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Tina's just in her PJs hugging her mom, and their big crisis was like, it's so sad that your friend is missing, but I'm glad you told me the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, that is a good one. And you're right. Those two scenes do, showing basically the same type of thing and kind of the night and day reactions of but that's good. Mine was just the induction ceremony, because that whole thing, just it's like, why are the lights off? Why are we doing this like we're in a cult? It's like, I'm not really sure. And also it kind of reminded me of my own experiences. I used to be part of a traveling drama ministry, and we had our own little tradition things that if I said them to most people, they'd be like, are you sure you weren't in a cult? And, sometimes I'm like, I'm not really sure, but, I got out without much fight. So, at least it's not a bad one. Just kind of reminded me of those kind of experiences. And, that with the dance party, it was just, it's just a fun little scene. All right. So, With that being said, I have a question for you, Hannah. If Ghostwriter were real and he wrote to you, would you write back? And if so, what would you say?
If Ghostwriter wrote to me in the way that he writes to his children in the show, I would very much have a Harry Potter moment. And really have to do some searching on, is this an evil thing that's happening to me?
Sure.
But I probably would write back. I'm a pretty curious person, so I probably would at least be like, who are you? Who do you think you are?
What is this, and why do you want to teach me about grammar?
Yeah. Fun fact, Ghostwriter, I was an English major.
Oh, there you go. You guys would be perfect pen pals. All right. Okay, so I know you've only seen one episode, but did you have any guesses as to who or what Ghostwriter might be?
My in the moment more realistic guess, at first I had this realization, I think about halfway through episode 3 when Rob shows up. And I was like, is he Ghostwriter? Because it seems like his reappearance is happening at the same time Hector's kind of being brought in. So is Rob secretly in charge of all this, and is he bringing Hector in as his replacement because he knows that he's not going to be around?
Sure.
And so I was thinking that for a while, but then just seeing how Rob is just with the group in the show, I'm like, okay, no, he is not running this whole shebang. So my final guess ended up being, this is a very overzealous English teacher who has unfortunately passed away and did not know what to do with themselves in the afterlife. So now they have gathered together children to teach them language and grammar while also helping them solve mysteries.
That's as good a guess as anyone else has had. That's actually, I like that. I like that. All right. Well, with that being said, though, the identity of Ghostwriter was something that was introduced as supposedly very important, although they didn't bring it up nearly as much as they kind of made it seem like they would in the first couple of episodes. And honestly, at times, Ghostwriter became more of a tool than a character. But they did actually have an identity for him figured out, but they never got to reveal it within the show because it got canceled. But they did eventually give an interview revealing his identity. Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
Okay. So, in 2010, Ghostwriter producer and writer Kermit Frazier revealed that Ghostwriter was...
Ghostwriter!
What? And they were gonna reveal this to children?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I was very far off base then. That's intense.
All right. Well, now is the time that we like to give everyone the opportunity to get in contact with us if you would like. I am the Flying Cow Pod on just about everything. At the Flying Cow Pod on Twitter and Instagram. The Flying Cow Pod at gmail.com is the email. And you can always contact me on Facebook through the group, The Flying Cow. If you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, you agree, disagree, let me know. But, Hannah, I want to give you the opportunity. If there is anything, I know it's COVID times, like you said, things are a little slow, but if there is anything that you would like to share that you are doing, or honestly, if there is anything in pop culture right now that you are enjoying that you would like people to know about, an added bonus if it uplifts the voices of women or people of color.
Will say there's not a whole lot in the works for me at this exact moment. Stay tuned for 2021.
Yeah.
I have been trying to go back and spend some dedicated time watching shows that have been filmed here in Atlanta. So I have been watching Atlanta, a little bit of Watchmen,
Nice.
I have not quite started Lovecraft Country yet, but I know that was partially shot here.
Yeah, that was a popular one on this show. That was that was recommended, I think, 4 episodes in a row.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. But yeah, I'm just very proud of this city and where we're headed. And it's always so great to see some of my friends on screen. I haven't checked out Hillbilly Elegy yet, but I do have a couple of friends in that one.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Yeah. Always nice to support the local talent. I'm a little bit biased towards us. But yeah, that's really what I'm up to now in the form of creative stuff. Is more just kind of staying in tune with what's happening in the world of film and TV in our city.
Awesome. All right. Well, I have a couple, and a little different than the things that I normally plug, but anybody that has listened to my podcasts for any amount of time has heard me mention the movie trivia Schmoedown. But if you have never heard of this or you've never listened to any of my podcasts, the movie trivia Schmoedown is a trivia show on YouTube that basically takes the best of movie trivia and combines it with the theatricality of professional wrestling. The trivia is legit. The matches and the answers are 100% legit, but they use characters and storylines, and they have titles and all sorts of things. And as of this episode being released, their big kind of WrestleMania event, the Schmoedown Spectacular, will have been released to their patrons and stuff like that. And I think they're going to be releasing it for free on YouTube as the months progress. But that is something that I love and enjoy. And actually, they've just made an open call, basically, for people that are interested to audition. So I'm actually getting ready tomorrow to film an audition to send in because I love trivia, I love acting, and I actually wanted to be a wrestler when I was a kid. So,
wow, well, break the leg then.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's an open audition, so I will be amongst hundreds, if not thousands. But I'm hoping to stand out. We'll see what happens. The other thing I would like to plug are a couple of podcasters that I really enjoy. Once again, something that I've mentioned several times on any of my podcasts. William Bibiani and Whitney Seibold, the critically acclaimed network. They have so many podcasts that they started their own network, and they're all shows with them on them because they just like to talk about so many different things. But they are some really awesome, really open-minded, forward-thinking critics that I really enjoy. They've got podcasts about shows that lasted only one season or less. They've got shows about Star Trek and the stuff that made Star Wars and the films of the Oscars and all sorts of different stuff. And they also do movie reviews every weekend. So if you like movies and movie reviews, check them out. But with that being said, Hannah, thank you so much for being a guest here. I was a little worried reaching out to you because we hadn't talked in a while, but this has been so much fun.
Oh, it was such a pleasure, and I love discovering new things, and what a fun new thing to discover in Ghostwriter.
Absolutely. All right, and next time we will be back with an episode trying to track down a middle school hacker. That's right. Who is Max Mouse? That is the next episode. But until then, Ghostwriter out!
Come on, Alex!
Better than Hang On Sleepy, that's for sure.